And we left off where they just got to Impossible. They made it through the security.
Mm-hmm.
The only concerns were Croesus kind of almost lost it because of stuff, and
he does that,
and because they assumed he was there to become a Panoblin.
Yeah,
the city is full of Panoblin, which are they're Oblin who have realized that there's a higher law than the law, and that's like natural law. So they're obsessed with. They take the Oblin obsession, but they apply it to reason and science, and that's like their focus. And they're among the Oblin. They're just called deserters. So, and Croesus is kind of was freaking out, and the guy, the guard was like, "Oh, I see. You brought him here to help him. I understand. Learning the Panoblin ways will definitely, help him." And of course, that just set him off. Like, I'm not deserting. I'm not deserting. And they're like, "We'll take care of him. Don't worry." And they were horrified by Cricket and Hank, because there are no like human-animal hybrids, right? For different reasons, right? Like, well, I guess at different points they just said different stories, but
basically, human what Cricket is has not been created yet.
No,
and neither Hank. So
Hank is also like you?
No, totally, completely, 100% different. Hank is a human that has had some animal mixed in, whereas Cricket is an animal that has been given humanoid form.
Okay.
They are opposites.
Completely different.
Completely different.
Anyway, they were pretty horrified. Although both in the different security agents they went through, both were like, you know what? I don't have anything against you. It's the people who created you who are horrible monsters and should be put to death.
Yeah.
But you can't help what you are.
So it's very forward thinking with them.
But it's
a shame they're all going to die.
Not really a shame, actually, but anyway.
And they got into the city, and they were basically going to head out. They had the guy I can't remember his name, but the guy who's bankrolling.
That guy, the one that gave us the actual line of credit.
Elganath is the idiot savant guy, and I forget the name of the guy who's bankrolling him. But anyway, the guy who's bankrolling gave him a stone, and you go to this certain neighborhood, and it's gonna like flash and ping and make a noise to find this secret door, and then you knock on it 3 times.
We're basically buying black market bootlegged Wizard Powder D.
Yes,
because it's a lot cheaper than the regular official kind.
There's an official Wizard Powder D, and there's a couple bootleg operations that have opened up too.
Yeah.
And they're like, I wonder which one that he's going to give us the credit for. And it's like, all right, so you take this thing to this one street, and then you hold it up, and they're like, bootleg.
Yeah. But I'm sure it'll go fine. Making deals with shady people. There's
nothing.
Everything's fine. Yeah, the Oood are civilized people, I'm sure. So we're making our plans now, how we're going to go about this. And we've had a couple of ideas beyond the simple survival thing, because we're adventurers. We're always in it for more than just survival. We want also a big fat sack of loot. And also other higher pursuits, but generally the loot. So the priorities are survival, cash, and then maybe making the world a better place.
Maybe.
But there's not a lot we can do about that right now because the history is the way it turned out, and we want to make sure it continues to turn out that way. Aurora.
Of course, she was trying to change things.
And that implies more planning, I think, than actually going on. So we decided we wanted to do the trade goods thing. Here in the past, in Oodlands, they have all these magic items and rituals and knowledge and stuff that will be lost in the catastrophe coming in a week. So we figured, let's buy some, and we'll take it with us back to the future. That won't affect history because it's all going to get destroyed anyway.
Yep.
And we'll be rich, and we'll have brought lost knowledge back into existence and stuff like that.
Noble pursuit.
Yeah. Like this any book thing. Let's bring that to the future. It'll be awesome.
Oh, God.
We know what they did wrong. We'll do it. We'll fix it this time.
Yeah, right.
And we know we'll be able to fix it because we have a sigil that takes us to the future, so we can just keep checking. Hop forward. Nope, everything's destroyed again. Go back. Nope, try again. Didn't work. It wouldn't work.
Brutal.
So anyway, so we're trying to decide what exactly our order of operations should be. Should we go and go shopping first, or should we go to the Wizard Powder D first, or what? Because you just know when we go for the Wizard Powder D, some complication is going to arise.
Yeah.
These things never go smoothly. And if we have to flee the city, we want to make sure we got our stuff first.
Yeah.
Trade this first. So we decided what we would do, since the Wizard Powder D thing is the most important thing.
Yeah.
We'll go and use the P rock and find the place first. And then before we go in and get involved in the underworld and all that, we'll go and do some shopping. And then we'll come back. What could go wrong? So we start wandering around the undercity of the city with our little piggy rock, looking for Wizard Powder D. And every time we bump into Oblin, or Pan-Oblin, they hassle Croesus. And it's to the point where Cricket is having to use Guardian's Counter to intercept interest in Croesus.
Yeah. And they just keep coming up and putting their hand on their shoulder, put their hand on his shoulder and say, "You're fascinating. Could I study you?"
And I intercept them.
And they'll say, "He's not a Panoblin, he's just an Oblin." And they say, "Well, no, he's not an Oblin, and he's not a Panoblin. What is he?" And he's like,
"None of your business, sir. Good day." So yeah, eventually we got down to the Undercity. And we started walking around, and we came across this Oood beggar who'd had his external brain cut off. And Aurora was like, "Oh, poor sir," or whatever, you know. It's like, "Oh, God." You know. She wanted to know about his grandparents and all that sort of stuff. Tried connecting with him on a personal level.
Yeah, and then someone realized that because his brain was cut off, he wouldn't be turned to dust in the catastrophe. But he'd probably die when the floating city crashed horribly to the ground like it did.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So Aurora immediately gave him some advice. "You should get out of the city for the next couple of weeks. You should take a vacation." Well, that's going to change history. So we had to pull a Jenga block. Yep. First thing we do to change history upon arrival is save some random beggar.
Way to go.
Yep. Fortunately, it's just one Jenga block. So it's not like we're going to arrive back at the present and Oood are still, great power and the Empire never happened and all that kind of stuff. So it's good. But yeah. So after that, after we changed history, we carried on, and the little pingy started pinging when we reached this one particular alley with this door at the end. We're like, "Okay, we found the place. Let's go before anything happens." At which point everything exploded, and yeah.
Now, they were just walking away, and all of a sudden the door blew off its hinges. And these, how many of them were there? 6, 7?
Lots.
They come running out, and they look like Oood, but they're disguises. They're flickering away, and you can see that they're actually dwarves.
Yeah.
And there's 3 dwarves armed with various melee implements, a pick, a sword, and a club, I think. And then there's 3 of them that are covered in magic items everywhere.
Should have had 7 dwarves. 7 is the right number of dwarves.
Actually, I guess there were 7. Because there were 3 with military, or 3 with melee, 3 magical, and then the leader.
Right, so 7 dwarves. Good.
Yeah, there were 7 dwarves came running out of there.
Yep.
And behind them, a group of Oood. And one of the Oood was like super awesome, magical looking. Everything's, I don't know, like ion stones floating around him. Whatever you expect out of an awesome mage. And then he had a bunch of apprentices. The Oood shouted, "Stop them!" And the dwarf leader takes a look at the party and says, "They look easy. Just kill your way through them." Mm-hmm. So,
because the dwarves have to get through us to get away. Mm-hmm. Of course. Mm-hmm. And we figure, well,
they're stabbing us,
yeah,
or trying to stab us and fail.
Well, more along the lines of may have our wizard powder D. That's the important thing. I mean, it doesn't matter if they get away because the world's going to end. It's great. So many of these things where normally you'd be like, we should probably help. It's like, no, there's no point. Everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
But in this case, yeah.
So the dwarves won initiative.
Combat ensued. We haven't had combat in a long time.
It's been like a year since we had combat.
Nobody remembered how it worked. It's great.
That long.
Well,
it'd been 11 months since we played, and then we played, and then we didn't play for like a month, and we haven't had combat since we started back up again. So, the dwarves won initiative, but they kind of sucked. The three melee guys came up and all miss.
Cricket was in front. She was tanking them. They were missing her armor class, which is really weird because Cricket doesn't have a super awesome armor class. She's got okay armor class.
And the leader shouted, "Flank them!" And so that gave one of them another turn. He went around behind and missed. And then the guys covered in magic items come onto the scene, and the first one pulls out this glowing crystal. It looks like fire made out of crystal, and he throws it at the party, and it lands in a square next to them and turns into a campfire with a grill and some delicious smelling meat roasting over it. And he's like, "Ah!" And the other one's like, "You idiot! Let me show you how it's done." And he shot fire at the Oood apprentices and killed one of them, but missed all the other ones. And finally, there was one dwarf with magic items that looked cooler, and he is like, "I'll take care of this." And he pulls out this little tiny trumpet and blows on it. And all of a sudden, all of the party members, they all failed, except for Croesus. They all got hit, and they all started slow, methodical chant.
Yeah, we all started chanting.
Slow, methodical chant.
It basically dazed and slowed us. Was it dazed and slow, or?
Yeah, dazed and slowed. They were just doing a slow, methodical chant.
We get one action around. And if we fail our saving throws, it's worse. Croesus made his save, so he just gets slowed. So yeah, everyone flubbed everything they threw at us except that one guy, and he did pretty good. He really crippled the party with that shot. And I think it may have given us somewhat of a false sense of superiority based on how badly they flubbed that first round. Because they did better in subsequent rounds. But at that point, we were feeling pretty confident. Except Cricket suddenly realized, wait a minute, these are dwarves. They're probably going to survive the apocalypse, which means we may not be able to kill them. Killing one of them may result in Jenga pulls.
Yeah. Meanwhile, John is like,
So yeah, and I have no way of being able to determine which ones are safe to kill. I mean, we can ask them, are you historically significant?
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope so.
Curses!
The Oood went next, and as the apprentices hammered on the guys at the back. I forget what the powerful Oood did. Oh, he made a giant miasma of like poisonous cloud in the middle of where all the dwarves were standing and made them vulnerable 15 to poison.
Yeah. I think before that happened, though, we did our turn.
I think
because I think there were other zones,
right, yes.
There were other zones down before that happened. It's narrow.
You're right.
The combat area is a narrow little alleyway. Just basically door at one end, us at the other end, dwarves in the middle.
One square.
Oh no, it's
3.
it's 3 squares wide. It's not that
Thank you.
narrow. That would be ridiculous.
You said narrow.
It's relatively narrow.
1 square is what, 3 feet?
5.
5.
3 squares is still narrow enough that it's a very much choke point that we can block off. So anyway, we did our turn before the Oood. And,
You're right, yeah.
And Croesus set up his kitchen, which is that ability of his called Shattered Time. Makes a zone that's 5 by 5.
Okay.
And if an enemy attacks an ally in that zone, Croesus is there hitting him first. Always. It's really good. It's a great defensive thing. Croesus also threw down some magical caltrops, so there was a zone that slowed you if you went through it. And then Serendipity, Bengal Strided Moor, Top of Tower, Shepherd, Still Strided Through Time, got her, what's it called anyway, the thing?
I don't remember. But
She's got this spell. It puts down this huge zone, which has this magical lure in the center. It's an illusion of something you really want. And if you fail your will saves, or it attacks your will, if you fail, it sucks you towards the center and immobilizes you there. Basically, there's this desirable thing, and you go there, and you can't help but go to it and try and get it. So we have all these zones now.
she made a big pile of magic items because the dwarves are non-magical completely, but they've learned to use the Oood magic items really well. So they're like, that's why the magical ones are just covered in magic items, because they just have all these specialty use magic items that they know how to use, or fail to know how to use in some cases.
Yeah. Like
The way I was doing it actually was, well, I guess combat hasn't finished. Maybe I shouldn't tell Brian. But basically, they have a recharge ability that if it recharges, I roll like a random wizard power on the high end of the scale.
We have fought these guys before.
Yeah, they were similar.
Yeah.
And just whatever it is, that's what they can do that turn. Or if they don't recharge or if that sucks, they can always fall back to a random wizard at will. Which is hence why the campfire came, because like there's only like a couple that are not like, and it wasn't exactly campfire, but it was completely, I forget exactly what it was.
It's silly.
It was something non-combat, which I didn't think there even were on that list, but apparently there are.
Yeah.
So yeah, they.
That's kind of comical.
So then it was the Ood's turn, and the guy put down this nasty poison cloud, essentially,
Right.
as a zone. So now there's like 4 different zones out there, with all these dwarves caught in the middle. It's great. But there's a couple of these, the dwarves, the melee guys, that got past all the zones that are sort of mixed in with us, fighting us. So, it's not all a bed of roses. And then the saving throws for the slow methodical chant thing comes around. And most of us succeed. Serendipity, Van Gogh, Stride Moor, Top of Tower, Shepherd, Still Stride Through Time failed. And who else failed? I think Hank also failed. Oh yeah, Hank. Hank did a fun thing. He had this ability that let him he hits a guy and then he teleports. I don't know how it went. He teleports to another enemy or something.
Yeah, he hits one guy and then teleports to another enemy of his choice and hits them. And he used that to get to the magic users at the back of the of the thing. And he turns invisible when he does it.
And turns invisible. Wow. It's a really good ability.
And then he failed his save, which put him to sleep for 2 hours, unless damaged.
Yeah. So he teleports over into the middle of all the enemies and then falls asleep.
Because that's what that slow methodical chant. If you fail your save, you fall asleep for 1d4 hours.
Yeah.
And so he's asleep and invisible in the middle of.
He's invisible.
And the only way to wake him up is with damage.
You have to
but no one can see him.
20% of your hit points in damage or something like that?
Yeah.
So, but you could stumble over him?
Well, fortunately, he fell asleep in the middle of the huge cloud of poison. Fortunately.
Right, yes, that's right, because he was asleep. Remember I said that the Oood cast that thing of poison? Well, Hank was there, unknown to him.
Yeah.
He didn't know Hank was there because he was invisible and asleep. But he cast the cloud of poison on Hank.
Try some of this?
I'm good.
And Hank's veins all bulged out of his face or whatever, and he woke up and we're like, oh great, he was poisoned awake.
Problem is, serendipity, Bengal Star, Motor Top, Tower, Shepherd's whole strategy of time, also fell unconscious.
Poisoned the wound. How are we gonna wake him up? Poison. You just inject him with something. And then he's like foaming at the mouth. There, he's awake.
Well, there's people that drink coffee to wake up.
Yeah.
Same general principle. So, the problem is also serendipity, then goes from our top tower second most right at the time. Also fell asleep. Excuse me.
It's actually how we found out that what it did, because if it hadn't been for that,
Yeah, we wouldn't know what happened to Hank.
they just wouldn't have known.
Hank just disappeared.
But Cricket has a ring of friendship, or
Oh, it's a ring of brotherhood.
which let her know exactly what was happening to serendipity. Because I was like, yeah, serendipity falls asleep. You don't know how long, but I'll tell you, it's not safe ends. But then
I had this thing that lets me know exactly what status effects are affecting serendipity specifically. Ben Goldstein on top of that.
And that's because you picked her as the target?
No, it's a magic ring. Well, we each have one.
Okay, you have each other's.
Yeah.
Oh, you're like BFFs.
She's my bonded charge.
Yeah, I played a, what is it, a sword mage?
Mm-hmm.
So, same deal.
Brian, I wouldn't mind like an end of a pizza just to try it.
By all means.
Here, take this,
I'm
this
running.
is a small piece.
I'm running late on this.
Do you want to just take this whole small piece, or
Yeah.
If you want a full piece, go ahead, take a whole piece.
okay?
Or you can cut a piece
It just
off
seems
and I'll
easier.
try some too.
Okay, sure. I'll
Cut it in half. Just put it on the table there.
I'll use your knife. I'm getting over a cold, so
Okay.
I didn't really touch this part of the plate though.
Anyway, so that gave me like the full description of whatever status effects are affecting her.
Yeah.
So that's how we found out that
Let's grab it.
if you do a certain amount of damage, you'll wake them up.
You lost your mushroom and your thing.
And so, but Cricket wasn't standing next to her. She was some distance away. Aurora was standing next to her. And so Cricket shouts to Aurora, "Hit her with your sword! Wake her up with your sword!" And Aurora was like, I don't want to hit serendipity with my sword.
They had to try to figure out the best way to guarantee that they would do enough damage but as minimum. And they figured the best way was to coup de grace with a fairly weak power.
Yeah.
Because then you guarantee you hit and you crit. And so they had to do, I think, 16 damage. And she found one that did 19 damage plus a d6 for critting. So.
And so Aurora coup de grace, serendipity, Van Gogh, Shadowmore, Topper, Tower, Shepherd, Soul, Fire, at Cricket's insistence. Not an event I would have expected, but there.
What a weird fight.
Yep.
Hank does this super awesome teleport and then falls asleep and then gets poisoned.
While invisible.
And
While
serendipity,
invisible.
when she woke up, I think she said she understood, but she was still annoyed.
Should be a TV series. I could just picture the Hank movement where he goes poof, and then you hear the thump, and there's like a little outline in the dust, like a cloud of dust.
So we started pushing some of those melee dwarves into the zones of suck that we've set up. Meanwhile, over at the other end of the hallway, the wizardy dwarves, the ones that have all the ranged magic items, they're in a battle with the Oood. The Oood apprentices aren't very good. They're all right. They can do a little damage, but they get killed easily.
They're minions.
Yeah.
They're high-level minions, but they're still minions. So they die easy, but they damage hard too.
Yeah.
And so they did a decent amount of damage, but they had all gone down but one. The leader dwarf actually did an ability that I never explained, but he just said something like "Stop it," and that actually was an ability. It's kind of cool. It basically just means that that character can't act on their turn. So he did that to the awesome Oood, which is why he didn't do anything on his second turn. And they also did a magic thing where the one living Oood apprentice, the cool Oood, and one of the dwarves all like swirled around, and then they all looked like the really cool Ood. So they didn't know who was who and where they were. And then the cool Ood didn't do anything because he couldn't, so that didn't reveal who it was. And I think the other dwarf focused their magic on killing apprentices. I think one of them...
Both apprentices were dead by the end of it. Were they?
There was one apprentice alive.
Was he still alive? Yeah.
There were 3 apprentices. 2 died, and 1 was alive.
Yeah. And then the thing happened and the apprentice died.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We'll get to the thing in just a moment. So, the fight is sort of wavering back and forth. These dwarves keep pulling really weird tricks out of their hats.
It's kind of fun for me because I'm rolling randomly on the table. I just like find an ability. I'm like, okay, I'm using this. And then when I saw that it was like for 1d4 hours, I didn't know that, right? It was randomly rolled. And I was like...
So, the fight is... It's sort of tilting around, but it looks like we're definitely going to be able to hold these guys here. We're winning.
Yeah, they've done some damage, but they're taking damage. Some of them are bloodied, and the party's doing fine. The Oood apprentices are dying, but
they don't matter.
The cool Oood guy, although the cool Oood guy looks like he was really, 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 really tough, but he's like has like a tenth of his hit points left because there was a huge explosion that he was just in. So he's actually very badly wounded, but that's still quite a few hit points.
So, at this point, the dwarves are like, geez, we got to get out of here. We just got to get out of here. And then they didn't pause it. They just knew the timer was going down, right?
No, it actually was the leader said...
He actually
he's like, screw it.
Okay.
Screw it, brace yourself. And all of his team on their turn, they all turtled onto the ground. And he pressed something, and from the doors that they had come out of, there was this huge explosion. Magical energy just flooded through the hallway. Everyone took 60 damage, except for the dwarves who took 40 because they were turtled. And a huge thing. That killed one of the dwarves. It killed the remaining apprentices. And when the smoke settled...
Also killed Serendipity. Van Goldshire
That's true.
Tower, it brought her to below 0. Fortunately, I have an ability. When an ally goes below 0, I can instantly cause them to do a healing surge.
So you did.
So I did. But it was funny because the reason she got below 0 was because of the coup de grace that Aurora had given her earlier. And I had actually offered to heal her up right after that, and she was like, "No, I'm good. It's only like 16 or 19 hit points damage, whatever. I still got 50. I'm fine. What could do 50 points of damage in one round, really?"
John's like, I got it.
Yeah. So, there was a huge explosion through, and when the dust settled, where the door was, there's just a hole, and they're in a flying part of the city. There's just open sky, like they blew the whole side off the tower, or at least where they were, and there's sort of like a crater, a sideways crater, and they're at the tip of it.
So that was our wizard powder D.
Oh no.
Yep. Unless the dwarves have some in their backpacks, because John mentioned they had backpacks, and dwarves love to steal stuff. So presumably they came to steal wizard powder D.
The dwarves look like they're like special ops or something.
Yeah.
Or they look cool, but we'll see.
So I'm still hoping that they'll have enough wizard powder D on them that we can get that from them.
And that's where we ended with everything exploding.
Slow, methodical chant. Slow, methodical chant.
Slow,
methodical chant.
I'm starting to think that my friends are very strange and don't want me to wake up from the dream anymore.
Slow, methodical chant.